Okay, we're going to go through and do this last one for the data analysis assignment. And again, this is my first time looking at this, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so this one is a bonds present value problem. And so we can look at and say, okay, what does the sheet look like? Again, I always like to just open up this spreadsheet right away and just see, because you can tell a lot of what they're looking for by the way they format the spreadsheet. So we're going to have our semi-annual interest rate, present value of interest payments. So present value of face value is like the lump sum at the end, present value of interest payments. So your annuity portion, the issue price of the bond, which is going to be based on the market rate right now. And if there's a discount or premium, which is going to be the difference between the face value and what the issue price of the bond was. So what people were willing to pay for it. So we can figure this out. Okay, so H2, enter a formula that results in the semi-annual interest payment. Okay, semi-annual interest payment. So our interest payment, if it was an annual interest payment, it would simply be the face amount times the contract rate. Here we're doing a semi-annual interest payment, so it's going to be our face amount, right, times the contract rate divided by 2. Pretty straightforward. We're doing payments twice a year instead of once a year, so it's going to be half of the contract rate. So, okay, so we put that in. So that comes out correctly. Good. Okay, we copy that down. I like to just double click on that bottom right corner and it copies it down. The present value of the face amount. So here, I'm going to use my present value function for these, right? So we can use our present value. Okay. So our present value, we're doing the, we're going to use the market rate. Right. Okay. Cool. Next one is the number of payments. So here, again, it's semi-annual. So the number of payments is going to be years times 2. Times 2. Okay. Now we need the payment amount. We're doing the face value. And so the face value is actually, here's the face value. It's just the lump sum. So the payments we're going to put in 0 because we're not looking at the individual payments. And then, so we do comma, 0, comma, and then face value, right? So, or here it's future value is what they say here, but same amount, it's the face value, which is right there. Okay. And then the last thing they say, okay, you can put a 0 if it's at the end of the period or 1 if it's at the beginning of the period. So we're always going to use a 0 because it's an ordinary annuity or an ordinary payment. And you see how it says it's a negative number. So that's always what happens with the present value is it'll change the sign. So you can just put a negative sign right here in the front. So there we go. Hopefully that'll be the right thing that they're looking for. And again, this is just the present value of that lump sum at the end. Ooh, it's not what they had. The present value function data row 2. Okay. I see what I did wrong. Okay, so we doubled the number of payments, but we forgot to split the market rate in half. Okay, so we have to actually divide that market rate by 2 because it's semi-annual. Okay, that was the issue. Okay, so we do that. Okay. So that's an important thing to always remember that you're doing when you do semi-annual is you have to double the number of payments and you have to split the interest rates in half. So we can copy that down. Okay, present value of the interest payment. So this is the annuity portion. And so we do the same thing. We're going to use the same present value function. Okay, and now same deal. So we're going to use our market rate, dividing by 2 this time. And our number of payments, our number of years times 2, right? Because of the semi-annual. And then the payments in this one, we actually have our semi-annual interest payment amounts right there. Okay. And we are going to put in at the future value of the amount. There's no lump sum in this, right? Because we're just doing the annuity portion. So we can do 0, 0. Again, you can leave those off. That's not necessary. Oh, I'm going to change again my sign. So I just got to change the sign so it's a positive number. Okay. So there we go. We'll copy that down. This is fun. We put it in, check our work. There we go. Okay, K2, use a formula to add the two previous present value amounts to return the total amount of the cash receipt when the bond is issued. Okay, so we'll often call this our net present value, but we're just going to add these up. Okay, so the present value of the face amount plus the present value of the interest. Right? So there we go. That's nice and easy. Okay. There you go. I just want to show you this. It's asking you to do it that way, but I want to show you that you actually get the same number if you use your present value function, right? And you can just use your present value function and say, okay, I'm going to do my, and do it all at once. That divided by 2, comma, number of payments is 10 times 2, comma, my payment amounts I'm going to put in, and then I can put my future amount, the lump sum in at once. I can put all of that in at once, and it'll give me, it'll give me the same number. So you see that? So I could add these up. You know, here I use the function, but I just did the lump sum at the end. Here I used the present value function and did the annuity. Here I used the same present value function. And I did both the lump sum and the annuity all at once. And so anyhow, so just so you're aware that is an option, or you can just do this plus this, and I'll give you the same amount. Okay. Discount or premium. Okay, so now we just want to know if it's a discount or a premium. And so what is the difference between the issue price and the face amount? So I don't know how they want the sign to be on this, but I'm just going to do this. The issue price of the bond minus the face amount. Okay. And so you could see this is actually a premium, right? They're getting more than what the face amount was. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it where a premium is positive and the discount is negative. And we'll see L2. Oh, this is interesting. Huh. I should have read this. Cell L2 use an if function to return whether the bond was issued at either a discount or a premium based on the issue rate given. Okay. So we're going to do this differently. So instead of giving the actual amount of the discount or premium, it's just saying equals if, okay, this cell, the issue price of the bond, is greater than the face amount, then do, what do we say, a premium. Premium, else do discount. Okay. Really, you should probably have something in there in case it's exactly the same. I don't think any of these are going to be exactly the same. So you could just use this and copy it down. So this one's going to be a premium then. Cool. Okay. If you were worried about them being exactly the same and not being either a discount or a premium, then you could do really just a nested if statement. You say if they're equal, then neither. So if this equals, aren't we? This. Oh, I'll say match else if this equals what am I doing? If that equals D2. Do all this and it's not even necessary for the problem, but that's okay. Just want to show you. Okay. If that equals that, then match, else if this is greater than this, it's premium, else it's that. Okay. So I could copy that down. It's going to give me the exact same answer. So I just made a much longer formula that wasn't necessary. But just to show you, this is what I would do in real life is I'd have the nested if statements. But really, you just need this second part right here for this problem. If K2 is greater than D2 with premium, else it's a discount. And that'll be enough for you. Okay, now let's look at this. Copy down, we did that. Okay, so let's create our pivot table. Insert pivot table. Select from B1 all the way down. Okay. And a new worksheet. I like that. Yeah, first problem. How many bonds in the Noor and Bagaloo subsidiaries were issued at a premium? So we could look at this and say, no. I might have to recreate this pivot table. Something's wrong. Pivot table. You want. So I'm going to want to see how many are issued at a premium. My discount section, I'm going to make my value. And I'm going to look at the subsidiaries. That's just giving me a count. I want to and how many bonds in those subsidiaries were issued at a premium? So I'm looking for a count of if they're at a premium, actually. So let's get this. What happens if I put in a column? Nope. There you go. Okay. So now it actually looks really nice. I like this, where I'm showing each subsidiary and then how many at a discount and how many at a premium. So that worked out really well, that format. So how many in the Noor and Baguio subsidiaries were issued at a premium? And so I'm just going to filter this, filter my subsidiaries. I'm sure a lot of you could just do this math in your head if you were looking at it. But I'm just going to look at my Noor and Baguio. Okay. And I'm going to look at this. I'm just looking at the ones that are premium. Right. And now I can look at my count and I have 36 total. Okay. What is the total amount of all the interest that was paid on bond 21 over its term, not considering present value? Wow. Total of all interest that will be paid. So all of the interest. I'm getting rid of these filters because I don't want to forget to get rid of my filters. So I am just looking at a specific bond. Okay, so let's get rid of these. And I'm just going to look at a specific bond. So here's my list of all my bonds. And I am looking at the amount of all interest that will be paid over its term. Wow. Okay, so I'm looking for semi-annual interest. Right? And then the number of years in the term. Okay, so this will give me the years and the semi-annual interest. Okay, and then let's just look, let's just filter. I'm just looking at bond number 21. So there we go. So it's 11 years, and that's my semi-annual interest. So I could just say It's that amount times my years times 2. Okay, let's see if this is correct. It's kind of an oddly worded problem. Okay, so that is what they're looking for. So all I did was I filtered down and just looked at bond 21, looked at the semi-annual interest, and looked at the number of years and just put that in my pivot table to pull it up. Kind of an odd problem. Okay. You could have actually just gotten that same data, that same answer by just looking for bond 21 on your table here and that in your initial data. But we're doing pivot tables. So okay, what is the average face amount for bonds in the Noir and MISC subsidiaries that are issued at a discount with a contract rate of 10%? Oh, wow. Okay, so we're doing a lot of filtering here. So we're ultimately looking at the face amounts, right? So we come in here, we can get rid of, so for our values, we want the actual face amounts as the value in our values. Okay, so we can put that in there. Let's get rid of this filter in the bonds. We want to look at all of our bonds. Now we are going to filter we want the average face amount for bonds in the Noir and MISC subsidiaries. Okay, so we change this to be the average. We know that we are going to actually filter it by subsidiary. Okay, so we don't actually need the bond names in there. We just need the subsidiaries. Okay. It's also saying we want to filter it by the discount. So we want that they're issued at a discount with a contract rate of 10%. Yeah. I'm just going to throw those into my filters up here. Okay. I throw discounted premium up there. I'm going to throw contract rate up here as a filter, because now I can just look at these and say, I just want the ones that are at a discount, and I just want the ones that are at a contract rate of 10%. And now I can also limit my subsidiaries and say, I'm doing Noir and Minsk as my subsidiaries. And so that's all I'm looking at. And so this will be the average face value of discounted bonds, 10% in those two subsidiaries. Let's make sure this is correct and what they're looking for. That was a lot of filtering. So read carefully exactly what needs to be filtered. If I wanted to, I could actually still throw the bonds in here and look at all of the bonds, right? So I can say in the Minsk, I have 3 bonds that are at a discount and a 10% contract rate. In Noir, I have 7 bonds that are discounted and a 10% contract rate. Okay? And so I can actually throw those in if I want to see what those specific bonds are. Okay, last one. How many future payments will the MISC subsidiary make to all of its bondholders? How many future payments will the MISC subsidiary make to all of its bondholders? Wow. Okay, so I'm just going to look at Minsk, and I can get rid of this filter. So I'll get rid of that filter. I'm looking at all of them. I get rid of this filter, okay, because I'm looking at all. So I just want my Minsk subsidiary. Okay, so here's all of the bonds for my Minsk subsidiary. How many future payments will the Minsk subsidiary make to all of its bondholders? You have to look at this. Years. So I don't like the fact that it's phrasing it this way, because I guess this is saying the years in term. It's assuming that this is how many years we have left for each of these. It's the way I'm reading it, at least. Okay, so I don't care, but I'm not looking at the average face value. Instead, I am looking at, I need a semi-annual interest payments, and I need the years in term. And if I'm reading it correctly, I think I'm trying to just multiply these together. So this times years in term times 2, right? And I do that for all of them. Equals the sum of these. A big number. Let's see if that's what they're actually looking for. Oh, it's not. It's not what they're looking for, right? Because that's the amount of the future payments. Here it's saying how many future payments will a subsidiary make to its bondholders. So it's not looking for the amount. It's just looking for a count. I should have read that more carefully. So it's not looking for the amount. It's looking for the count of all of your future payments. So let's get rid of this. Okay. Those. So I guess we could take the sum of the years and just multiply it by 2. I think that's what they're looking for. This is a strange question. 698. No. How many future payments will the subsidiary make to all of its bondholders? In this subsidiary, using terms. Oh, that's a really strange question. Here you go. See, okay, so this is what it's looking for. That was a strangely worded question, right? So at first we were looking at, okay, here's the number of years left, right? And so I took the sum of the number of years and multiply it by 2, and that tells us how many annuity payments. But then you have to add one more for each bond because you have the lump sum at the end. So that's all I did here. Is I took the number of years, the sum of the number of years, right, times 2, plus the count of the number of bonds, because I had to take each annuity payment plus each lump sum payment of the face amount at the end. So that was kind of tricky. Just to know what they were asking for. So hopefully that answers your question. You guys can answer the last one. I want you to read through it, but hope this is good and have a wonderful day.